Just when you thought the NES ran out of unique and underrated games in its library, here we have yet another title that's pretty solid and is one of the most unique games I've ever played. I will admit, it does have some flaws of its own, but those don't outweigh of how this game performs. So today, on another game review, I'm going to be covering Kabuki-Quantum Fighter. You assume the role of Scott O'Connor, a military agent who has his brain synced into the cyberworld to take down a corrupting virus spreading across the universe. Within this cyberworld, Scott fights micro-evil as a Kabuki fighter, which according to the manual, is O'Connor's image of his ancestor. It's strange really, I mean, why not appear as a more formidable fighter like that of Intron? But I guess it doesn't really matter, except for the fact that the plot sounds very similar to The Matrix when you think about it. You go through each level taking out enemies with tricky obstacles to overcome, and I do mean tricky. These levels are usually kind of short as long as you don't struggle much, and upon completing an area, your points will be calculated along with your health and chip meter being restored depending on how much you still had. You usually go through 2 areas before coming on to the boss battles, which some of them can get annoying if you're not cautious on your maneuvering. After beating a boss, you'll be given more detail to the story along with a new weapon. Now speaking of such, your primary weapon is your hair. No joke, it's your friggin' hair! The first thing that comes to mind is Sindel from Mortal Kombat, or even Freakazoid. I honestly can't think of any other game where you use your hair as a weapon. It's pretty effective, but you'll have to be up close to an enemy to nail them since you can't extend your hair any further, which can sometimes lead you to take damage before you counter. The other attacks you have are your fists, which aren't as strong as your chip-based weapons, which require a certain number of chips to use for each projectile you fire. To collect chips, you'll have to kill enemies along with finding health. You can also kick attack while hanging on if you're near an enemy. Dealing with the enemies can be troublesome since most of them react quite sporadically, and this kind of behavior barely gives you a comfortable proximity to attack them. Probably the toughest obstacle to tackle in this game is the jumping, as many areas that require crafted skills will appear to be your worst nightmare, and as you progress, they don't get any easier. The jumping also requires you to be perfect with your landing, otherwise you can easily miss your mark, and seeing that the mechanics in this is very tight, it can become aggravating at times. Another aspect that can get you flustered are the boss battles, as some of them prove to be irritating with their unpredictable attack patterns, and seeing how agile these freaks can get, it will take some time before you can get anywhere. As mentioned before, after completing a level or conquering a boss battle, the game tallies up how much health and chip power you have and replenishes a certain amount depending on how much you had. If you complete a level with little health and barely any chip power, chances are you won't get much of it back, which can be a real bitch since you won't have any idea what lies ahead. You could take your time and tread cautiously until you come across icons from enemies. Just keep in mind that you're timed for each level. The game's difficulty is not near the level of Ninja Gaiden, but it isn't a smooth traverse either. The graphics are solid. It's basically the same case as Shatterhand and Vice Project Doom. All the sprites are nicely detailed and the animation is pretty solid, especially towards the ending. Sometimes elements of the graphics can be a bit misleading in terms of platforming, but nothing too serious. The only real setback is the animation of falling, as it doesn't seem appealing. I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be his knee or something else. While the basic control layouts are simple enough, using them to play takes much time and patience, particularly with the jumping, as there's a lot of obstacles in the game that requires precision jumping. Add to the fact that Kabuki's jumping movements is brief and heavy, only makes executing the jumps troublesome than it does ease tensions. Not to mention the annoying enemies and environments that can obscure your maneuvering, especially if you're on a level that requires you to keep climbing up. Aside from the hard jumping tactics, the select button cycles through your weapons while the B button whips out your hair, and I still can't get over how ridiculous that is. So the controls are not bad, but they have a tight learning curve to that needs much patience and practice. The soundtrack in the game is very good, although not as solid as that in such obscure games like Shatterhand and SDNX. Just like in those 2 games, you can access the soundtrack menu either upon beating the game or using a code. On its own, the music is catchy, but I sometimes feel that a few compositions are out of place, but you hardly ever notice these misplacements. While Kabuki-Quantum Fighter isn't as spectacular as the underrated games I've already covered, it's still fun to play in terms of its stingy challenge and gameplay, although a bit aggravating, yes. With a game like this, you'd think I would have much more to say about it, and I do apologize if the duration here comes off short. But seeing how I've covered such games like Shatterhand, Vice Project Doom, and Little Samson, there's not a whole lot of differences in this particular game, but that's not to say you shouldn't play this game for yourself and enjoy it. It's still pretty fun, otherwise why would I buy the cartridge of it? Thanks for watching. I'm Riley Sky. See you later. Hey everyone, this is Gabriel, and I hope you enjoyed the latest game review that you just watched, Kabuki-Quantum Fighter for the NES. Now you might wonder why you're watching this footage again. Well, this footage is pretty different because this one is actually captured from an actual NES cartridge that I used with my new Elgato game capture. The footage you just saw in the review is from the emulator that I recorded almost a year ago. Sorry for the deception there, but it was like a different time. But alright, first off, I'm really, really sorry that this video took so long to post up. There is a story behind all this. Like, over like a month ago, I recently broke up with my ex-girlfriend. It's a very long and complicated story, but I'm not going to get into what happened. To put it short, I wish things could have worked out much better between me and my girlfriend, but it just wasn't the case, and I'm sorry if my voice doesn't sound as clear as it should be. I literally just woke up just so I can get this recording over with, but anyways, like, since then, I've been better. I've been really, really better. So, still single, that's the sad part, but hey, beats better with what I had to deal with the situation. So anyway, and I finished up my first semester at college ever since I transferred, so that's a good thing. And another good thing is, like, the other reason why it took so long to get another game review up, because of the complications I had with my laptop and how much problems it was giving me. I actually had to get a new operating system and a new processor just get everything working again. And it was just been a long trip to deal with all this. But anyways, like, on to the game reviews. I am going to be posting up more game reviews than ever since I have the Elgato game capture now. I have like 2 game reviews on the way after this one. There's one that's a NES game, or actually it's actually a Famicom game. The other one is a Sega Genesis game, and I'm not going to spoil what the game is called, but you'll be in for a surprise. And yeah, like, I realized that this video took so long to post it. Like, I mean, I first promised it after I posted the Bad Street Brawler review. It was going to be released in around Christmas time. That never happened. I was going to post around mid-January. That never happened. I was going to post around before Valentine's Day. That never happened. So it was a constant struggle. And again, I am really sorry for the delays and all that. I mean, the recording for the commentary in this review took it was actually recorded back in March, I want to say, and it was just lying dead in the water, so I had to get this over with. And yeah, I'm just much better now that this is finally over, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And before this video ends, there's a couple more things I want to talk about. First of all, I finally created a Twitch account, which I will be live streaming games sometimes, so I'm not gonna review the modern newly released games yet, but I'm gonna be streaming some old games. I haven't streamed anything yet, so I'm gonna be my first Let's Play for Twitch. I'm gonna be doing a PlayStation 1 game. I'm not gonna say what the game is, but you'll know in the stream. And yes, my account name is Riley Sky 100. Haha, that's a surprise. And one more thing, I'm going to be attending PAX East in 2016, which is next year. So if you guys are interested in finding me, just hit me up and we'll probably hang out or something. We'll play some games and I'll give you my input and such. But yeah, there's gonna be much more reviews coming out, and I'm gonna be doing lots more Let's Plays. And with my Elgato game capture, the possibilities are endless. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening to what I had my reasoning on all this, and I hope you guys have a very wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.